All right, guys, we're going to start with Nick Tucker in the room, and then we'll get you guys online.
Coach, you were in there for the most part, but then the second half sort of really fell away there. What observations did you make that you just thought sort of was the difference in the end?
Yeah, I mean, the momentum swings really killed us. 5 minutes to go in the second, we're up 5. And then I think we finish out the half being down 10, right? It was shortly after, and again, we had a successful coaches challenge, so we even used 3 timeouts to try and swing the momentum back in our favour. And so, in 5 minutes of basketball, that's a 15-point turnaround. We started to get a little bit of momentum again at the end of the third. We brought it back. Lockie made the pass to Sko on a back cut for an and one. We bring it to 9. We get a stop. And with 40 seconds to go, to really, make it a single-digit game, which, again, the mindset of how you go into that quarter-time break is, you're feeling great about yourself. I think you got out to 20 at one point, I think, in the third. But, to close out the possessions is a turnover, and we had a good look at the 3 that didn't go in. But even in that moment, I think it was a 53-second window, there's a chance to, bring it to 7, bring it to 6, and then it ends up ballooning back out to 12 again. It was too easy. Brisbane were able to get what they wanted. Tane Murray was backing down guys, finishing the rim. Praith was doing it. Harrison was doing it. It was just, it wasn't 40 minutes of good basketball. It was probably, 13 and a half of, application, and it's not good enough.
Andrew, Brisbane has sort of been shooting pretty poorly to start the season, but it just so happened tonight they did sort of really up the ante on the amount of shots that they made. Does that annoy you as a player, or does it just come down to just the game that happened, and unfortunately they just hit more shots tonight than they have in the past?
As a player, we don't really go into it looking at what they've done in the past. We know what type of players they are. Like, our scout had a lot of these guys as shooters, so whether they're in a slump or whatever the case may be, previous games, we know who they are and we respect them, and they came out and shot our heads off basically tonight. They did a great job. We just have to find a way to be more physical. Felt like we were pretty physical the game before, and then coming in here, we wanted to keep that same intensity, but didn't happen.
Coach, do you feel like there's anything that could be changed just straight off tonight's game? I feel like Brisbane had a lot of that intensity, especially in that second half. Steals, and they finished the stronger of the 2. Is there anything like an immediate fix, or do you just think it's just the focusing for the 40-minute stint of the game?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. What we lack is that edge, right? We got a lot of nice guys. We got a lot of good dudes, and we got a lot of guys that care. And we don't like losing by 30. They feel it. But you can play hard without talent and get wins. You know what I mean? Like, you can play hard with talent and get a lot of wins, right? But you need to be able to play hard, and there's an edge to that. There was a moment where we flagged it in the timeout where there was a loose ball and no one went for it. And that, I don't care if you're fatigued or tired, there's got to be a level of desperation for that. And there wasn't. And that loose ball was available. And then they end up hitting 3 off the back end of it. Whereas, again, you dive for that loose ball, you get that loose ball, we go down the other end, maybe we score. So, but they get it back, and it's they drill a 3-pointer. So there was a possession where they had 4 offensive rebounds. That happens in a game, sure, but, what's your edge? What's your desperation? Even if you fouled a dude in the desperate attempt to get the rebound, I'll take that, right? We got a lot of nice guys, but we need a little bit more, with that edge. So that's sort of what we're trying to seek for, and I can't want it more for you. That's really the message. Especially with injuries and guys being out, I've always looked at it as opportunity for others to really come in and be like, all right, well, here's minutes available, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to apply myself like my life's on the line, and it can be a moment in someone's career to establish themselves. We've had multiple examples of this in the past. I think, again, if I give an example, right, and I know we're playing them this weekend, but, Ben Eyre is an example of someone who I won't go into detail about his history before he came to us, but he had aged out as a DP. He was an unpaid training player that wasn't promised anything, that had to get his own accommodation and work. And then we found ourselves in a situation with, at the time, Scott Machado was in and out the lineup with bone spurs. And so it was Bannon and another gentleman where we basically said, hey, you're going to play once, and whoever wins is going to get those minutes. Like, you're going to move into the main roster. And he played like his life was on the line. And this is the difference, right? When, at the time, what I didn't realise now is that's how he plays. Like, his life is on the line for everything. Love him or hate him, his identity as a basketball player is playing that particular way. We got a couple of guys like that on our team. We do. We've got a handful of dudes, but it's not enough. You need guys who see this opportunity and be like, I'm going to play like my life's on the line. And so when Sam Wardenberg or Jack McVeigh or whoever comes back into that lineup, now they have to play to get those minutes back. You need a real level of edge about you to have that desire. And I don't think we have enough desire.
Thanks for that insight, Coach. Andrew, just one more question. On that topic of sort of trying, like there's no tomorrow, do you sort of feel like that's a bit of a mentality the boys have to take for the rest of the season? Sort of last on the ladder, but it's never too late to make a push for it. What sort of mindset are you sort of thinking you're taking into the next one?
If you ask me, I think that's just the mindset most athletes should have. Go in and compete. You never want to get hit in the face and not hit back. So I think that's just as a collective. We also pretty young, so that's on me, that's on Jack, on Sko to kind of gather the guys around and try and influence our personality on the team. And so far, I personally haven't done the best job at that, so I need to step that up. So going into the next game, that's always my mentality, and just try and carry that on with the team.
And this is probably one where I'll say, I'm not worried about Drew. I know when we lift to a certain standard and it helps Drew in those areas, but I mean, Drew, when we talk about edge, the mindset of Drew is, this is how, if you don't mind sharing it, he's this is how I support my family. And so when someone gets the better of him, they're taking money out of his pocket. You can find motivation from all sorts of areas. Your motivation to support your family, motivation for a particular image, motivation just in competition. But as Drew says, athletes need to have whatever they draw their motivation from, and that's their source to compete for every possession. And I can't want it more for you. I can help you through it, and we can talk about it and address it in video. And I said to the guys, I can't be the standover guy anymore. It's tiring, but it's also it's not a good tactic, So we got to together, collectively, as a unit, find our way through this. This is not great at the moment. This is bad basketball, and we're not going to sit here and pretend that one or two players is going to make that change. We have to address it right now, and it has to come from a desire just to get that loose ball and take some skin off the knees to get it.
Thanks, James. That's it for me, sir.
Sweet. Do you have anything?
Yeah, Andrew, you said it. You're a vet. You're also the floor general of the team. What do you feel like was the biggest breakdown offensively in the second half versus the first?
I think we got a little bit stagnant, but I do think that this has been our best offensive showing in a while. Just our pace, our flow, getting the ball spread around. Looking at the stat sheet, we got a lot of guys' shots. We had 30 assists and 10 turnovers. You know what I'm saying? I think offensively we did what it takes to win. But when you look at them shooting 68% from 2 and 40% from 3, that's not going to get it done in any league. You know what I'm saying? So I think offensively we're fine, but we got to find a way to get stops, or when our offense is flowing, or if our offense isn't flowing, still to get stops. And that's been our problem. Usually it was our offense, but today it was our defense, so we just got to put it all together.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, those were amazing stats tonight from your team offensively. Another positive, Jack McVeigh, back from injury, went off in the first half, dominant throughout the whole game on the offense and defensive end, I would say, as well. How happy are you to see him back on the court?
And he can be better too. He even addressed it in the change room. I felt like Tane Murray had a great game tonight, and he was able to get going a little bit because there was a couple of possessions where he got the better of Jack. And so it's good having him back. It's massive because it helps open up the floor. we need production across the board. And this is what I was saying before. It's not one person that's going to do it. You know, we're that team, right, that the role players coming off the bench need to make their shots. And, you know, the starters starting the game need to set the tone and make their shots. You know, consistency not only across 4 quarters as a team, but consistency in a sense of like game to game from the individual. Yeah, we like I said, it's good having Jack back, but again, it's still a 30-point loss.
Chris, Ike?
Yeah, just a couple quickly. Drew, I'm not trying to give you an excuse here, but I mean, and it's admirable that you're taking responsibility, but can you just talk about the challenge of coming into this team pretty late before the season started for you and then having to play as the point guard and, I guess, learning your team and also learning this league for the first time?
I mean, it's basketball at the end of the day. It hasn't really been too much of a transition. I think the guys have embraced me. It's just about me finding ways to just be better. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I feel like I've been okay, but even looking now, 3 for 12 is terrible. I had 10 assists and only 2 turnovers, but at the end of the day, I need to help in more areas. I'm also like I've came from being a scorer, so I need to score the ball. And yeah, I appreciate you trying to give me excuses, but I'm kind of a non-excuse guy. I know I need to be better, and I will be better.
And Forde, I know you still lost by 28 in the end, and you know you only scored 85 points. But was I seeing things, or did your offense look pretty good tonight for the most part? I mean, you still finished with 30 assists and you know only 10 turnovers, and it felt like the ball was moving a lot better tonight.
Yeah, Drew highlighted it. It really did. You know, we simplified a few things. We wanted to put guys in some particular actions. There was some really good looks that didn't drop. You know, we had some real good ball movement and even highlighted with the guys at halftime. You know, there was a couple of turnovers that came from probably being, you know, guilty of overpassing. So, you know, I agree with that. But this is where, again, we can't do it down one end and then give up 113 down the other. We've got to string them both together. We've got to be able to defend and be able to move the ball. But, yeah, you know, like I said, you know, if we want to take a positive, we definitely take the positive that the ball did move. I mean, again, 30 assists, I'm happy with that, that's for sure.
And just lastly, I mean, good signs from Mo coming in for his first game. And we know what he can do in this league. And I thought when he was healthy last season, he was really good for New Zealand as well. It's unfortunate what's happened with Al, but the silver lining is what he's going to be able to do now for the rest of the season.
Yeah, again, like this is sort of that opportunity with him. You know, you've bounced around a little bit. You've gone from a couple of teams. Actually started out in Cairns, and now what do you want to do? Like, you know, this is an opportunity in your career to, at the age of 23, I think he is. You know, do you want to have this reputation as a guy who bounces around and you know, we talk about what could have been, or, you know, hey, like Al's out for the rest of the season, which sucks, and it sucks for Hal and it sucks for us. But now with that provides an opportunity for Mojave. So don't listen, with all respect, don't listen to your agent, don't listen to your parents, don't listen to your friends. Come here, work your butt off, and if you earn those minutes, we'll play you. And this is going to be a massive opportunity for him, like for everybody else on the list.
Thanks, guys.
Anything else online? No.
Dan, awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.